I used to be a pick-me who absolutely lived for a man to tell me that he enjoyed my cooking. However, I've since grown and have learned better than that, but that doesn't stop me from throwing down in the kitchen when I get ready to. While I do enjoy cooking and whipping up my favorite meals, and even the reaction that my family has from eating my good food, I am not interested in planning, cooking, and cleaning up after multiple meals per day. With the many businesses that I run and the different things that I have to do with homeschooling and when it comes to the household, I just don't have the time. It's more than a job, it's multiple jobs in one. But my macaroni and cheese recipe is always a crowd favorite. After boiling noodles, you definitely want to start this sauce with a roux. If you're using Cheese Whiz or any type of nastiness or Velveeta or something like that, then I'm sorry, your macaroni and cheese is trash. Don't be lazy. Make your cheese sauce from scratch, okay? And if you ain't sneezing, it's not seasoned, so make sure you season your roux as well. Ain't nobody got no time for no bland macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving. Fun fact about me is I never really cooked a thing before I left my parents' house at the age of 17 to go to college. That's how I know these men are running game, because literally anybody can learn how to cook if they put their mind to it. But why learn how to cook when there's somebody willing to do it for you for free in exchange for a ring and maybe 50% on the bills? But that's a story for another time. The secret to an amazing cheese sauce when you start off with a roux is to make sure that you are constantly stirring the sauce so that none of it burns and sticks to the bottom of the pan. Then if it sticks to the bottom of the pan, you just get this weird, bland, burnt taste in your cheese sauce, and your macaroni and cheese ends up not being as flavorful as it could be. I only use cheese that I shredded myself, honestly, because it melts a lot better, because it doesn't have that little nasty coating that pre-shredded shredded cheese has from the grocery store, which means you get an ooier, gooier, cheesy macaroni and cheese for your Thanksgiving dinner. I know a lot of you add eggs to your macaroni and cheese, but with this recipe, there's no need for them because the cheese sauce will be enough to bind all of the noodles in this recipe together. Once you combine the noodles with your cheese sauce, it's time to give it a good stir before you add your toppings. We want a good thick layer of cheese on top of our macaroni and cheese. So the remainder of the cheese that you grated is going right on top. Now, this next step might seem a little cray-cray, but if you grew up in the South with a black mom, you know you got to add a little paprika to the top for coloring. Whatever that's supposed to be. I don't know. Ask my mama. But anyway, once you get your macaroni and cheese all assembled, it's time to put it in the oven at 350 degrees. I wish I could give you an exact cook time, but I kind of let the gods tell me when this macaroni and cheese is ready. So bake until the cheese on top is bubbly and the middle is set. And there you have it, a perfect macaroni and cheese recipe for your Thanksgiving dinner. Bon appetit! Let's make some Southern cornbread dressing for Thanksgiving. And disclaimer, do this however you want, but this is how I do it. Ain't no Jiffy box around here. Start with some self-rising cornmeal mix. I'm only measuring it like this for y'all, but put 1/4 of a cup of oil in a cast iron skillet on high. Normally, I would just pour a glove in here. You can really just read the directions on the back of the cornbread mix. I'm going to show you how to do it, but the most important thing is that you're going to be using day-old bread. You want your cornbread to be dried out. It makes this recipe much easier. I use buttermilk. You can use regular milk if you want to, but again, this is how I do it. Back home, my father used to take the cornbread and break it up into pieces and crumble it into a glass of buttermilk. So delicious. If you know, you know. So test your pan by dropping a little bit of the batter in. Once it sizzles, then pour the entire batter in, put it in the oven, and bake. And let sit covered overnight when done. Next, we're going to chop up some bell pepper. We're going to chop up 1 or 2 stalks of celery and a medium onion. My daddy used to chop up all the vegetables for the dressing for my mom. Sorry, with my mom, because Thanksgiving was a team effort where I come from. Saute those until softened. Now, this is why you're going to want to use day-old bread, okay? Because when it's soft, it's hard to crumble up. When it gets dried out, it's very easy. You also want to add some toast to the filling as well. I baked some chicken thighs and shredded them up along with the skin because that extra fat makes it taste so good. Then you're going to want to incorporate everything into your cornbread mix. Add a cream of chicken can, a cream of mushrooms can, and then drain off all that just goodness from the chicken that you cooked earlier and use it to moisten the mixture. If it's not moist enough for you, you can always add some chicken broth at the end. Mix this up until you get the right consistency, then season with nature's seasoning, some sage, and some pepper. Sometimes I use poultry season, sometimes I don't. Just taste it to be sure. Then you're going to grease a casserole pan or use a spray and spread your mixture into the pan evenly. Make sure it's wet enough so it's not dry. Now, this last step is most important. Make sure you serve with cranberry sauce out the can on top. Say your Thanksgiving prayer and dig